Hello, everyone, and welcome to Empower Hour. I'm Lotika, Chief Small Business Officer with the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. This webinar series is meant to provide businesses and consumers with information they need to succeed by sharing advice and stories from Chicago's entrepreneurs. So we all find different ways to unwind and celebrate. For some of us, we do that with a really nice glass of wine. Today's guest is making sure the experience of wine tasting is pleasurable for novices and experts alike. With us today is Seth Wilson, co-founder of Midi. Let's learn how the business started and reasons to cheer to their success. Good afternoon, Seth. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into the Q&A about the business, can you tell our webinar attendees a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, also, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad I get to represent businesses in Chicago and the LGBTQ community. So it's a really great honor to be asked to do this. About myself, I am actually originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in Chicago for 15 years now, this May. And I'm a Virgo, Gemini moon, Sagittarius rising. My favorite color is green. But yeah, I have had this business with my business partner, Craig Perman, for going on 4 years. We bought it from Joe, used to be called Joe's Wine Cellar, and changed it over to Midi. So that's kind of been what's taking over my life the last 4 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we saw on your website, Seth, that you have traveled the world, literally. So did this inspire you to open a wine shop in Chicago?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was in school, I went to Vanderbilt and was focusing more on international relations and international politics, and kind of made my way naturally over years into the service industry and hospitality. And yeah, I would say that my world travels while I was in school and post, while I was kind of trying to experience the world and myself, whether it be in Japan or Germany. I lived in Iceland and New Zealand. I've always worked in a hospitality capacity of some sort. So it has definitely inspired what we have done. My business partner, Craig Perman, as well, has traveled all throughout the world and has a vast knowledge, especially of specific wine regions. We complement each other quite well because we kind of focus on differences within the world's regions. So he's actually traveling right now, but I would say that being just in restaurants and drinking a lot of wine over the years, for better or worse, has definitely inspired me to what we have done with Limpi.
So, Seth, you've been in Chicago, you said 15 years, correct?
Yes,
Technically a Chicagoan at this point.
thank you.
And you have chosen Wicker Park, which is such a vibrant neighborhood for the location for Le Midi. How did you know that Wicker Park, that particular neighborhood, was the perfect spot for you to open a wine shop?
Great question. We actually did not know. We were taking a huge chance in coming to Wicker Park when my business partner and I were discussing what we wanted to do. One thing we did know is that we wanted to have two licenses, both on-prem and off-prem, if we were going to go through with this project. It just so happened that Joe Dalton, who used to own the spot before, had both those licenses. Serendipity occurred. COVID occurred, and we kind of moved forward primarily because of the licenses that existed. But Wicker Park was definitely up for discussion insofar as if we wanted to try to keep Wicker Park kind of the way it was, and Joe's wine cellar was definitely really integral to the community and had been open for 10 years, and it was a different style than what we were going to do with Limidi. So yeah, it was definitely a gamble, and knowing if Wicker Park wanted a wine shop, especially where we are in Division. We are surrounded by a lot of other beer spots and cocktail spots, and it's like, do we want to add, this more European, small, cozy, wine-driven spot? And we, obviously did. And I think it was a phenomenal decision. I really enjoyed this spot and getting to know Wicker Park. But yeah, it was definitely a question as to whether we focus on here and put our resources here, or if we wanted to look elsewhere. And I think that we definitely made the right choice by coming to Wicker Park.
I'm so glad that the gamble paid off for you. I think Wicker Park, is such a vibrant community and it has such interesting retail that Le Midi is a wonderful addition to it.
Thank
When
you.
it comes to wine, it is complicated, right? Like, how do you choose, Seth? How do you choose the wines that you carry in this very amazing retail brick and mortar store that you have? And then once you pick them, how do you build these relationships with distributors across the world?
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion between my business partner and I about what we wanted to do with the spot, and I think that we were definitely aligned in that we wanted to bring into Chicago something that's very classically European. Even the word "le midi" is actually there's various meanings to the word, but it essentially means middle, but it also refers to a geographical region within Europe that is the Alps and the Pyrenees. It connects France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. And that's where Craig and I got our inspiration primarily from. And so we had this amalgam in the word Midi that really kind of took on what our thought process was going to be in making the Midi. So the choices when it comes to picking wines, it's actually very meticulous. He and I personally source every bottle that comes into this place, so it has to go through a rigorous tasting process. We do a lot of research in regards to who the winemakers are. It's all very small production. We don't really typically carry your large big bin wines that you can find elsewhere. We really like to focus on the backstory. We like to focus on good people as well. So you have to have a good reputation of being a kind human if you would like to get a spot on a wall, because that's just kind of what we wanted to foster overall with the community, with our staff, with ourselves. And building relationships with distributors has been fantastic. I worked for Let Us Entertain You with RPM Steak for, I was there for about 8 years, and worked in other iterations within Lettuce and got to build a phenomenal rapport with a lot of the reps and distributors and suppliers over those years. So running on those coattails, I definitely brought that into here. And essentially, it's just establishing a kind rapport with your reps and with distributors and really letting them know what your focus is. So anytime a new rep comes to me, I always say specifically, these are the things that will make it to Le Midi. And if we get behind it, it's a really great plug. We are not the ones that are like, well, we need something consistent. So we have at least 6 months supply of it. We're more like, well, if we get 4 cases of it because that's all that exists, then we are absolutely going to take it as long as it hits all the things we want to hit, that it tastes great, and that it's a good backstory.
Um, the ethos of anchoring who you buy from based on small vineyards and kind people, that is so wonderful. I really want to come visit now, just see what
Come on in.
collection of, vineyards you have from across Europe. That just sounds incredibly mindful. And I think it speaks a lot to who you are as a business person as well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So Chicago, as we love our food and drink. We have such a rich palate when it comes to both those things. So when it comes to wine for you, what do you think has set Le Midi apart from all the other wine stores and shops that we have here in the city?
Yeah, I discuss this quite a bit with those who are either familiar with the spot or have just, seen it, and it seems to be a consensus that Le Midi really does stand out. Again, our inspiration came primarily from our travels throughout Europe, so it was really more of a copy and paste. So I would love to say like we came up with this small production European style wine bar, but really it was just the places that inspired us, especially through Italy, Spain, France, that we thought that Chicago needed. There's also very few spots. I think that, being Chicago, the city of the big shoulders, and very large steaks, very large sides, having worked in restaurants like that as well, it was really hard to find a place that just had really small bites. That was very simple. Even when you come to tapas places, you have a litany of things that you still have to choose from. But what we wanted to do was focus on really, really small menu where you can come in for what is known as le d'apéro, which is the hour of the apéro. So in Europe, apéro hour is very, very important. It is the moment before you go out to dinner where you just sit back, relax, have a glass of wine, have a small bite, have a cheese, enjoy your company, and decompress from the day. And then you go off and you have dinner. So that was really what we thought Chicago needed, was just a place where we didn't really take reservations. We take very few right now, just because we want to inspire people to come in from around the city. But we decided it's like you come in, you grab a table, and that's your table. You can have a glass and a bite and run off, or you can spend the entire night there. We thought that was really important, especially I think that in Chicago, which is a little bit more fast paced and expedited, that you have this amount of time, we have to get this person out by this to get this person in. And we wanted people to relax. It's a harsh city. It's a harsh time, a harsh world. So let's make things a little bit softer. And that's just kind of what we wanted to do for Chicago and Wicker Park in particular.
I think all of us could do with more Aperol hours in our lives. Just taking that
Absolutely.
break
Yes,
to
necessary.
unwind. And so is that the experience that you're aiming to create for your guests? Just to
Is that the
unwind,
Yeah.
take that moment to relax.
Yeah, I think that we as a culture are just very driven to. It's almost like seen as a weakness to sit back and relax. You have to keep on, running forward and progressing and bettering, and you don't really have time to sit and reflect. And I think that is something that at least I know is very, very important to me. I think that being in hospitality for as long as I have, recognized that it's very important that when you go out, especially if you're coming to visit my place of business, that you feel calm and that you come in happy, but you leave happier. And one way to do that is just to let you be and let you breathe, and then give you some amazing products. So that is something that I have definitely put forward as the focal point, and the staff as well. I think that curating a staff that recognizes that and also enforces it is really important.
Um, that is, I love that, focus on the experience, focusing on the small bites that pair well with your wines. I think it would be an amazing Aperol hour at Le Midi. So, I kind of wanted to hone in a little bit more on wines. You sell a really large variety of wines, and wines can be intimidating. I remember a couple of years ago in Italy, from in the Piedmont region, from Barolos, which are so full-bodied, all the way down to, the Barbarescos. It's so confusing sometimes what wine to pick and which one to select. So how do you work then, Seth, you and your team, with your customers so that they are not intimidated by the selection of wines that you offer from across Europe? Because each region has kind of their own speciality.
Yeah. Wine is very intimidating. I think that even as I started taking it more seriously in the past, I was very intimidated by it. When you're going into that really sincere focus on wine and want to turn it into profession, you pick up your first book and you're just like, whoa, this is a lot more than just Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir, and it can be mind-boggling, to retain all the information and to recognize, as you were saying, Barolo and Barbaresco, but there are those that don't know that Nebbiolo is the varietal of these two regions, and I think, especially for myself and for the staff here, we really try to put our ego aside. One of the best things that I could have done professionally was, pursuing myself as a sommelier. So I went through the Court of Master Sommeliers and got to a certified degree. And one of the three major elements of it is service, which I find to be the most important part outside of blind tasting, outside of theory and recognition of soil types and appellations. We're here for service as a sommelier. And even though I don't really take that title as much right now, because I don't want to separate myself from those who want to come in. So I think if I call myself a sommelier and someone comes in and recognizes that, it really disallows a discourse. I think working in some of the best restaurants in the country, and as a sommelier, you definitely have to be able to read a table. And I think that there were definitely times where a lot of guests did not want the sommelier to come over because they didn't want to seem like they didn't know what they were talking about. So I think that even starting from there, it's like you are drinking wine, you are purchasing a thing that I am in love with. And so I am here to thank you. I'm not here to show what my ego is or how much I learned, or to tell you that you're wrong about what you're tasting. This is a really unique journey for those who are just trying to get into wine, and then realizing that they like it and then kind of running with that and then going down the rabbit hole and then all of a sudden you can't get out of it. But it takes that soft entry, I think, to get to that point. So when you come into Midi, we are not in uniform. We wear our own clothes. Back, once in another life, I was known as the sneaker som because I would wear bright sneakers with my suit because I just wanted to let my guests know, like, we're also humans. We're fun. We're just here to provide a service, to provide a little bit of a show, and to make you leave, wowed. And I don't think that you can do that if you put your ego too much into it. So I'm not here to tell you how much I know. I'm here to see what you want and to lead you in that direction, which I think is the most important element of what this entire business is.
So, thank you for sharing that. I feel its service is so important in, making wine more accessible to consumers who would be overwhelmed by choices. I think that is such an incredible service. So, Seth, you also have a wine club at Limidi. Can you share a little bit more about the wine club and why you incorporated that into your business model?
Yeah, for sales, for one thing, definitely, want to make sure that we're selling things. But I think that specifically our wine club definitely stands out. I think that having been in the industry for as long as I have and seeing what other wine clubs have, you tend to see a trend where it's just you might get out of a wine club something that is really inexpensive and we're going to charge you more for it, and you just kind of have to run with it. And um I think that if you have someone specifically curating what the wines are, it definitely betters the experience. So I'm talking more about your larger, I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to get out there, but these larger corporations that were just like, get your 12 bottles that for $50 for a case. And even though it seems like it might be a good deal, there's also a reason why. So that the price is that. We have one wine club. It is 4 bottles a month. My business partner and I kind of go back and forth, taking responsibility of writing about the wine. So some months he'll pick two, I'll pick two. Some months he'll do all of them. This month I'm going to be doing all of them. And we spend a lot of time researching these wines. That's a big part of what our monthly routine is making sure that this wine club stands out, because we are fostering the recognition that we are wine professionals, that we take this very, very seriously. We're not going to provide you schlocky wines just because we want to make that sell, and put you into a category of having to pay for 12 months and now we have you locked in, you can't get out. So we wanted ours to be very easy. We also wanted it to showcase what our personalities were and how important each wine is. Every month you can go into our website and you can see every month that we have from previous months, and what the backstory is, whether it has inspired us personally, whether the appellation inspires us, whether it's just a really great tasting wine. We want to make sure everyone has it. We also, because our wine club is so intimate, we are allowed to be very playful with these small production wines, which really is fascinating. It's great because we have that opportunity, and now we're seeing the wine club growing. It's like, well, we have to kind of increase what the production of it is as well. But it's wonderful because we know for a fact that there were 3 cases of this in Illinois. We took all of them, and we want to make sure that you're able to taste them because they were so profound to us. So I think that the wine club is again 4 bottles a month, 125 flat fee. You can either join annually and be locked in for those 12 months and be guaranteed some great stories and great products. Or if you don't want and we have any more available after annual, you can just come in and purchase them and come in and talk about them. We're all a bunch of nerds at Midi, so anytime anyone comes in and has a sincere question about what the wines are and why we selected them, we're more than happy to maybe sit a little bit too long and waxing poetic about what the wines are. But I think that's really what sets apart our wine club from others is just how personal these selections are to us.
So just out of curiosity then, are most of your wine club members people who frequent and also shop at Lemidi, or do they find out about you from other sources?
A lot of the base are loyal customers that really just want to support us, which is really heartwarming to know that we have created such an incredible loyal base, just being here for a few years and establishing that so quickly. And despite that, we know the product's good, so we're not going to put a bad product out. We know that you're going to enjoy these options. And I think that is the most important part of that. Yeah.
Okay. So what is, Seth, your business's marketing and promotion strategy, and has it changed over the years since you started your business?
Yeah, it's a unique question because we haven't really done a ton of promotion or marketing. We really have done it more of a natural progression. And I think primarily is because we're trying to, make sure that what we were originally going to do is what we were going to be established as. We were lucky because we bought Joe's Wine Cellar as it was and got to see how the neighborhood responded to us before we even opened Midi. So we're able to really calibrate what our ethos was going to be moving forward. But I think I think that is probably what I have for that as well. Yeah.
So that's something that you mentioned was very interesting. You purchased, the old business. Did you continue that business under the old name before you launched Lemidi in that space?
We did.
Okay.
So we bought it from Joe Dalton, who was with Joe's
Yeah.
Wine Cellar and had been here for years. So we had to operate it because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
We had to operate it for about 6 months as that incarnation. And it was great because we got, again, to see what the public wanted and how we were going to respond to that. And I think that was a really great ability was to mark what we were going to do before we actually had to do it.
Yeah.
So that was a huge, huge benefit for us.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and
I agree.
yeah, so I think that as a result, the neighborhood has really responded well to it. Yeah.
Just getting to test the product market fit and figuring out what Lemidi needed to be, I think that is such a phenomenal opportunity.
Yeah.
Seth, many of our attendees typically are seeking capital to start or scale their business. Do you have any advice to share with them on this aspect of the business? You purchased a business outright. So, especially with brick and mortar, with a retail component to it, which has expensive inventory that needs to be cycled through. So I'm just curious in terms of access to capital, how easy, challenging, or difficult that was for you.
Yeah, I think that in the same vein, we really wanted to make it just about ourselves. We decided that from an early stage that we didn't really want investors because investors have the potential to want to influence what your ideology is going to be. So we decided that we were going to put our own money into it, which I think is really important to see when you are, going out for loans, et cetera, that you're also going to be taking a personal guarantee on the success because you are liable for it. So we decided that we would take out a loan for the build out through banks. And despite the fact that interest rates can be very high, especially if you're not already an established business, can be a difficult part of it because you realize that you're paying more in interest than you are in principal. But after a few years of hopefully being successful, you can refinance, and I think that that's kind of where we wanted to go, was just invest as much as we possibly could, take out as little as we possibly could, so we can pay it off quickly, and just kind of push through. But I think that it was important for us to be able to have complete autonomy. So we didn't really want to ask even friends or family for money. This was something we really wanted to be just us, so we could have that ability to make full decisions.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a very important point there is, you have skin in the game. You did take out a bank loan, but not having equity investors really gave you a say, a very clear say in how you wanted that business to build from the ground up. So without influences and external partners coming in and telling you what you should be doing, which when other
Right.
people have money involved, it becomes a challenge sometimes with
It can be.
startups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I've heard enough stories about those who have taken on investors, and just how that relationship can change, and how much more stress you have as the operator, that making sure that these investors are taken care of. So we decided that if we wanted to just keep the stress levels lower and just be stressed for our own money versus someone else's money.
Yeah. So Seth, did you and your business partner work with any Chamber of Commerce or any business service organization in Chicago that provided you with any assistance? So BACP has partnerships with over 65 neighborhood business development centers across Chicago. So did you connect with any? Did you work with any?
Yeah, also a great question, and kind of in the same vein as the marketing. We wanted to be very natural. The marketing element was more word of mouth. We do have social media handles, we do have a website, but it really was just let's just kind of get this thing going, and then see what the result is. So as we're kind of finding our own footing, we recognize that building these relationships and fostering them are very, very important. We have not personally, as a business, joined the Chamber of Commerce, but I think that is a wonderful, wonderful establishment. I think they are integral into making that this community works. So I highly recommend it for those who are moving forward to becoming entrepreneurs, and opening your own spot is just really, really necessary to get your name out. We kind of built this more on reputation and word of mouth, and I think it's because we just wanted to slowly figure out who we were, where we were going to be in the neighborhood. So I think it was really important to just take baby steps when it came to that, and just kind of let it naturally progress the way it is. And so word of mouth has been very important. We have been extremely lucky. Had some great articles written about us. So we have the Chicago Magazine that did the first one that was really great. Within the first few months we were open, we had New York Times that put us in the 36 hours in Chicago, which was shocking and wonderful. And I think that is kind of where we wanted to just see where we could do what we could do on our own. And even when it comes to social media, where I will personally admit we are not that great at it. I'll put out posts every once in a while, but I think going to the term old school when it comes to marketing, and when it comes to establishing your name, we wanted to make it more natural. Yeah. And I think that has done a great job. I think we've gotten to a place where we have established ourselves quite well. And so the next moves will be, do we grow? Do we want to, incorporate this name into a larger sphere, or are we okay? I mean, it's a very small spot as well. I think that that's a really big part of it. We have 25 seats inside. When and if the patio is open with Chicago weather, we can double that, but 25 seats is not a lot. So we wanted to really just make sure that we're honing in on perfecting what we have in a very, very eased way.
And I think your experience in the hospitality industry, in the food and beverage industry, really speaks to the reputation that you've built as well, and what you've been able to do in kind of a relatively short amount of time. So big kudos to you on the success that you've achieved. We would love to see you expand. Any new businesses, new locations starting up, it's always of interest to us. So please keep us posted.
Absolutely.
So, since you are an expert in the beverage industry, just like fashion trends, wine, alcohol trends kind of occur, sometimes it's rosé everyone's talking about, sparkling champagnes or spritz. So what are some of the emerging consumer preferences that you're seeing right now that you are, potentially excited about in your store?
Yeah, another great question. Trends are really, I have a love-hate relationship with them because if you look at the word trend, they're fleeting
Yeah.
and they're mercurial, and it's just they're really hard to grasp because after having been in the industry for as long as I have, I can definitely pinpoint moments where this was the thing that we're going to focus on, and then that's now defunct, and now we're going to focus on this. And right now, it's definitely, hearing a lot of the buzzwords, which, natural wines, orange wines, um, pet nats. I think like the Brooklyn philosophy kind of has made its way around the country of more the hipster thing, where like, no intervention, no sulfur, no sulfites. And that has become a really big aspect of getting people interested in wine. And we definitely recognize that. We definitely like to incorporate what those trends are in here, but at core, we're a bit more classic. I think that there are a slew of other wine places throughout Chicago that really do focus really well on this, new natural take that we're having on wine. And we're, I think, as an industry, very confused about what natural wines really are. So we have to ask our customers what they think natural wines are because there are a lot of different definitions. And I think that when you're that nebulous, it becomes difficult to know how to perfect it. So, we focus on great farmers that, look at biodynamic farming. If you don't know what that means, come to one of our tastings. I speak ad nauseum about what, biodynamic farming is, and organic farming, taking care of the land, taking care of, your fruit, whether it be, pure natural, where you're just going to grow your own grapes, pick them off the vine, throw them into a bin, stomp on them, and hope it ferments into something delicious. That's something that we don't quite like to focus on. We like our wines to taste like wine. And so, no offense to those who like wines that taste like kombucha or IPA, but we are definitely more classic when it comes to what a varietal should taste like. Granted, we have lots of curveballs when it comes to this varietal grown in this random region, and who knew that that could grow there, or that we're going to serve this red wine at a colder temperature because this is the way that the winemaker built it. I think those are the things that we like to play with and teach our customers about. But I think that going forward, it's a unique question because the world is changing quite a bit, and climate is changing quite a bit, and so we're trying to kind of figure out what is happening with the industry of worldwide wine, and if there are going to be trends, if there are going to be appellations that can't make it because they're getting too hot and they used to be a cooler region. So I think if anything, we're just more curious about which regions are going to start to shine more. For instance, Champagne is, in my own personal opinion, the most royal of all wines. If I could drink it every day, I would. If I could afford to drink it every day, I would. But you see other regions, such as the UK, that are really focusing on extremely high quality sparkling wine, which they hadn't before, but they're able to now. So there is a silver lining to that for them. However, in contrast, Champagne has seen some of the hardest vintages of the past few years, and yields are down. So I think if anything, when it comes to a trend, it's more of us holding our breath and making sure that we as Earth can still provide wines and make them delicious and still affordable and approachable. But yeah, when it comes to like these buzzwords, I think that we recognize that they are a thing, and that they will also once upon a time be a thing. So we just kind of focus on what we generally know as being a successful style of wine.
I love that response. So thank you. Very beautifully articulated, and I can't wait to learn more about biodynamic farming. So,
Watch out what you ask for.
like you said, you can talk about it ad nauseum. So, really looking forward to that in the future. So Seth, you mentioned at the very top of the hour that June is indeed LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and we are very grateful to have you here with us on Empower Hour today. So what are some of the ways, if any, your business or you personally are recognizing and celebrating the month?
Yeah, and again, I thank you for having me be a representation of the face of that. It's this is a really important month for those who identify as LGBTQ. Again, just kind of what the temperature is worldwide for our group in particular. I think it's very, very important that we are not just emphasizing that aspect or that small a community, but to amplify that into a more holistic overall view of just humankind. I came out of the closet a little bit later in life. I was born and raised in the 80s and 90s when you had a bit more uh, your social stigma when it came to identifying, especially I was raised in the South. And so I think it took me a lot longer to recognize what this element was in me. But in so doing, I also recognize that it is just a part of me and that I like to identify as it, and I am very proud of it. Um, but I also want to make sure that what we are doing, especially as a business, is focusing on just the general overall feel of making a safe space for everyone. So I'm always proud to let those know that I am a minority business owner, that I identify as this, but it's really ancillary to what I feel is the most productive and important element, which is just um, making sure that everyone, regardless of identity, can make their way in here and can identify as they wish. I am super proud after having experienced, the history of LGBTQs throughout this country that we have gotten to a place that we can identify a month for us. It's been fantastic, and I hope that we can continue on that trajectory. But when it comes to the business, again, I think that I am always happy to discuss this element of myself, but it is not going to be the central point. It is not going to be walking into a gay-owned establishment. You're walking into a human-owned establishment where one of the owners happens to identify as LGBTQ, and whoever you are, let us let you know that it's great that you're that way, and you are just as welcome in our doors as anyone. And so I think that focusing on that one aspect is a little bit larger for me. Now, when it comes to personally, I definitely live in Lakeview. I go to Boys Town. I definitely like to have a few of my gin and tonics that has, no wine influence to it whatsoever, and um, let my hair down, so to speak. I don't really have much, but let it down. And just it's been wonderful to live in this city in particular, and then going back and forth to Nashville and just traveling around the world and just seeing how lucky we are as a community to be in a safe space and to be able to walk around and hold hands with the person you love, and to be able to wear a pride shirt whenever you want and feel good about it and feel safe about it. Whereas the business is definitely geared more towards let's just love everyone. Personally, I would say that I would probably represent the month more outside of work than I do within.
Again, we're incredibly grateful that you're here with us today, sharing your stories with us and with our attendees. Wanted to transition a little bit away from business now for these next few questions, Seth. So when you're not running a business, what do you like to do to relax?
I like to sleep if and when I can. Sleep is really, really lovely. It's I my when my business partner and I decided this is my first business, this is his second, and so he had a little bit of history with what it is to invest yourself completely into a business and really have to deflect yourself from it. I think that there are definitely growing pains when opening Midi because I put every ounce of my being into it and then recognize that I need to pull away and start focusing more on myself and not just the business. And I think that, thank goodness, with my staff here, uh, it's been a lot easier to kind of pull back and then rebuild who that person is. But I would say that I love to run, especially I live right next to the lake, so when possible, that's a great way of relieving stress. I am an avid reader. Typically, I read more about grapes than anything else, but once upon a time, I read a lot. So anytime I can have a moment to just kind of escape, anytime I go on, vacation, I like to uh, delve into the realm of reading an actual, physical book. I like the carrying it around. So again, old school when it comes to that. I love to socialize. I am a very social person, and it has become very limited. And I have probably, to my many friends' chagrin, don't have a ton of time to socialize. But when I do, I make it really, integral to that moment. It's not just fleeting. It's going to be, we are going to go to a phenomenal restaurant. We're going to drink the greatest wine. We're going to have the most wonderful, concentrated conversations. Um, and then I'm going to go back to work.
We're getting a lot of questions in the chat. So I just, the last few questions, one for us personally and also for our attendees. Do you have any tips on how to choose a wine at dinner or to pair with your meal?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as part of being working in restaurants for as long as I have, I really had a great start in recognizing, culinarily speaking, where you should go to pair wine with each dish, and it really is more of an alchemy. I know in you know, uh, scientifically what varietals, because of the aspects of what that varietal is, whether it be high acid or high tannin, and how that incorporate well with certain types of food. But the funny thing is that after being a sommelier for so many years, uh, it's again hard to put your own ego out there, even though I can tell you this is the best pairing. Off dry Riesling is going to pair the best with scallops. Chablis is going to pair the best with oysters. Like that's just kind of common knowledge for those in the wine trade and wine professionals. But I have had worked in restaurants where somebody comes in, they order a massive seafood tower and the biggest, boldest Napa Cabernet next to it. And it is not my responsibility to tell you, no, you can't do that. You should be ordering these things instead, because you're there to enjoy yourself. And if you like big Napa Cabs with your oysters, go for it. Uh, it's it's funny as well. We have to really be sensitive to our customers' needs, for those who come in and say, I'm having this dish, especially when it comes to like spicy things. We're having spicy Thai food. What should we get? And all of us who work here will immediately say, you need something with a bit of sugar. Off dry Riesling would be great because you're going to bring the heat down, and you will automatically expect that that customer will be like, oh, no, 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 no Riesling and no Chardonnay. Those are the two things we hear the most: no Riesling, no Chardonnay, which breaks our heart because as wine professionals, you almost ask anyone, typically they will say that their favorite varietals are Chardonnay and Riesling. But it took a long time to kind of get there and recognize why. And a lot of it has to do with pairing. So you have to be very sensitive to what the needs are and the desires are. So even if someone comes in and is like, I will not do off dry Riesling. I can't do sugar. I hate Riesling. I hate all Rieslings. Don't even try. Great. Then let's get you what you want. And I will try to direct you as best as possible. So it's like, if you want a red wine with your seafood, we can do that, but we're going to, do a little bit of alchemy again. We're going to bring tannin down and bring acid up. And I think that we have established ourselves in the community, for those who recognize that we know what we're talking about. And you have to build that trust, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and says, I'm having this for dinner, pick my wine. And so that's always very rewarding.
Yeah. So this webinar is titled Empower Hour. Seth, can you please share a piece of advice that can empower our attendees today?
Yes, absolutely. I think that the one element that I would say to empower you is to recognize how important other people are to getting to your success and treating them well. I think that having worked as for so many years working for those others, it's important that the person who is building that success and has that name attached to it heed what those who got them there to be able to be that successful. I am only as strong as my staff, and I mention this over and over again. I tell all my staff, like, I am here to promote you. This is not Seth's Midi. This is our Midi. We are an establishment that focuses on the community, and I want to also empower you to get to be where you want to be. If you ever want to open a wine store, you have my complete support. And without that, I think that you will lose your that route really, really quickly. So I would say that is probably the most important element that I have recognized as a leader, as owner of this spot.
That is phenomenal advice. So before we move into the Q&A section, Seth, can you provide our attendees and our listeners with the physical address of the brick and mortar location and also your social media and website?
Yeah, so we're in Wicker Park, obviously, 2108 West Division. So we are on Division and Hoyne. Good luck getting on Hoyne right now because there's a lot of construction going on, but plenty of street parking. Then our website is very easy, lemidywine.com. And then we also use Instagram and Facebook for social media, which is lemidywine, which you can find through our website as well. Yeah, we look forward to having more followers.
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn it over to Stella to moderate the Q&A section. Stella?
We do have some questions. Very good. You have to show all the way to the top. What is it like to work with a business partner, and how did that relationship come about?
Well, if I understand the question correctly, what is it like to work with a business partner and how to come about? It's great. Having a business partner is like a marriage. So you're always going to have those really glorious moments, and of course, those moments when you disagree. And I think it's really important to, if you do decide to go into business with a partner, to source the correct one. One that doesn't just agree with you, but that is more the opposite of you, so you can bring your forces together. I would say that Craig and I have built a really unique bond over the last 4 years by our differences, because I might have an idea here and he might say no, vice versa, and you get into more of a discussion. And I think that also finding a business partner that does listen and heeds your advice is very important. I came about meeting my business partner pretty naturally in the wine world. We were introduced by another acquaintance who was within wine. Craig had already established a business, so I think that riding his coattails was really important for me when I got to opening up Midi, because he had already been established for many years and been successful with his own business. So that was great for me to be able to recognize and to learn from. There are those who just decide to go into business with themselves, and I think that now that I've had a business partner, if I do decide that at some point opening another business is a good idea, I would feel much more empowered to do so solo. But I think it was really important for those who, if you have not opened a business before, I really do recommend having someone who's already done it to help pave that way for you, and also find someone who listens and someone who cares just as much about the business as you do, because despite the differences you might have, the one thing you have in common is wanting to make your business successful. So that's kind of where I would say keep your partners to a minimum. You don't want too many people trying to enforce their own thoughts. One's enough.
If Stella's having technical difficulties, I can moderate. So the next question, Stella, we can barely hear you.
Really? Well, I did get an updated computer this week. Okay, let's try it again. Have you seen?
Yes, it's much clearer. Yeah.
Alcoholic beverages, and are you adapting to this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first part of the question again?
Have you seen the growth of non-alcoholic beverages, and are you adapting to this?
Yes, absolutely. That is something that my business partner have discussed over the last couple of years as well. And speaking of your trends, this is one that I think is actually very important. I'm actually really happy to know that there are winemakers who are making very good products without the alcohol. I think that disallowing that demographic is really rude. I think that, and it's not for those who just don't like alcohol. It's for our ladies who are getting ready to bring someone else into the world, and despite the fact they want to have wine, can't or choose not to. And so we want to be able to offer them a space as well, and also have a good product. So yes, the NA sections are definitely something that we focus on. I actually just recently added a zero proof section to our wine list. We bring in a couple of wines that go through what's called dealcoholization, which is essentially you make a still wine with all the alcohol in there, and through reverse osmosis, you can separate that alcohol from the juice, and you have something that actually tastes like wine. And there are many winemakers who are recognizing that this is a thing. And I don't think that this is just a trend. I think this is something that is going to follow through into perpetuity, precisely for the fact that we are recognizing what alcohol can do to either to our bodies or to our psychology. But we also want to be social. We don't want to be a pariah because well, I'm just going to have a water while everyone drinks alcohol. And to provide other cool options. We have a great sparkling tea from Copenhagen that's delicious and tastes like green tea and pineapple. And yeah, we definitely have seen an uptick of those who just come in and will sometimes drink no alcohol. They just want to come in and have an apero, have a cheese, have some meat, and drink a soda. And it's like, that's fantastic. We want to make sure that you also feel comfortable, that we're not trying to push you aside because you're not investing in the alcoholic element of it.
How do you price luxury or specialty items so they remain accessible but profitable?
How do we source luxury items to make sure that they remain accessible?
But profitable. How do you price those?
Oh, okay. And profitable. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, there is definitely a sliding scale. I think wine is just intuitively a luxury item. I think that it's not something that anyone needs. It's something that you prefer to have. And I think that it does go into that more luxury realm, but I think it's also just seen as that. I don't think that you have to be necessarily wealthy. I think that if you can spend $12 to $15 on a great bottle of wine and be able to reap as much satisfaction from that as you could a $50 to $100 bottle of wine, then that's great. As far as we're concerned, you're focusing on wine. That's our passion, and we want to make sure that you have access to that. When it comes to luxury wines, it's a really more of a niche focus. We try to keep prices as approachable as possible, and that being commensurate on the quality of the wine. So, if you look at appellations like Napa Valley, if you look at Bordeaux or Burgundy, Champagne, they have these monikers that are synonymous with wealth, with intense, supreme luxury. And so, how do you have access to making sure that people can approach that and be able to bring into their own lives without breaking the bank, versus those who want to spend a lot of money? And we kind of have both. I think when it comes to pricing, however, in the same way, if you were to look at how restaurants price their wines by the glass versus wine list, it really is a sliding scale. So whereas we know that the majority of our wines that are priced a little bit more approachable, we're going to move through a lot faster. So we might take more margin on that so we can bring the margin of very expensive bottles down, because those wines typically are very hard to find. And we want to make sure that we can at least have those who want access to them to have access to them. So it depends on what you want that sliding scale to look like. But we definitely are very conscious, especially when it comes to the buy the glass options at Midi. We offer what's called a YOLO wine. You only live once. And these are wines you typically wouldn't open, but you only live once, so you might as well open them when you can. And we can do this by having what's called a Coravin, where you put this needle into the bottle and takes out oxygen and allows the bottle to stay around longer. But usually those are pricier, so those are going to be $35 to $50 glasses. But they would be more if we didn't keep the margins of our lesser expensive wines. That allowed us to have a mixed COGS or mixed cost of goods. So I think that is just kind of where we put our emphasis is making sure that we can have a successful business by bringing in revenue, and then when we can be playful with the more expensive things and allow them to be more accessible to those who want to try them without breaking the bank, we think is very important as well.
Wine tasting. Can you hear me? Hello, is it working? No. Lotika, I think you need to take it. I don't know what's going on with my computer.
Yeah, I can take that. So I think the next question was more around where do you draw your design inspiration? The person who asked the question is that on top of all the incredible aspects of your business, your space is really visually appealing and welcoming. And they wanted to know where you draw your design inspiration from.
Yeah, well, hopefully not referring to this lovely luxury space right now. It's upstairs looks a little different from downstairs. We're in the dungeon right now, just because it's a little bit quieter. But we actually we did not do this on ourselves. I would like to think that I have a really great eye for art, but we did bring in a design team from New York. Actually, it was Craig, my business partner's cousin. And we spent, arduous months together going back and forth as to how we wanted to see the design of the physical space and what we wanted the color scheme to look like. And I can't tell you how many people will stop and just take pictures of the facade of Midi and then come in and ask, what is this blue? Well, it's funny because there are 7 different blues all throughout. It's just hard for you to tell because it's a progression of lighter blue to darker, deeper as you go throughout. But there are definitely multiple blues, blue hues throughout the spot that I really am very proud of. Our design team did a phenomenal job. And if any of you need their information, I'm happy to give it to you because they're great to work with. And yeah, I think that's just adding the special touches throughout time has been great as well. So it's like someone gifted us an orchid, and it just happened to be that the orchid contrasted really nicely with the blue of interior, and we just put that out. And I think that we're making it more of our own space as the years progress.
So the next question is, what software do you use for payments and payroll?
Oh, great question. We actually just switched within the last few weeks, so I feel like I probably aged another 20 years in the last few weeks because it's important to have a good POS. Your business is only as good as your software. We originally started with Square and then have just recently moved on to Toast. And I think it is unique to us because we have a dual business. We have a retail element and on-prem. And as a business owner, one of the most important aspects of operations is knowing what your mixed COGS are, your cost of goods. And when those two departments don't speak to each other, it makes business very difficult to know where you are. So we have gone through our ups and downs, and I cannot say that any software, any POS is absolutely perfect. But I think that we, finally, as businesses progress and there are more of these businesses that have kind of dual revenue centers, they're adhering to that more, and it seems like Toast is doing a great job with that. I have high acclaim for them because they are very, very sincere about wanting to better themselves and to let retailers know that they are just as valid and viable as other retail POS. So it's a work in progress for us because we have, a little bit more of a different dynamic with how we operate. But I think that it really depends on if you're going to be going into retail or on-prem, where your priority is. And I would say just personally, Square is great for retail. Toast has been great for on-prem and also the incorporation of retail.
Thank you for sharing that. We're actually at time, but there's one question that I want to know the answer to as well. So we're going to end with that. Finally, Chicago summer is here. So what is a good summer wine that you would recommend to bring to a potluck this weekend?
Wow. Okay. Potluck. Yeah. Of course, my next question always is, what's in the potluck? What are you eating? But I think that being one who primarily drinks white wine, and especially when it's summer, you'll always find rosé and white wine in my place or on my person. And I typically prefer, higher acid, lower ABV, but with a lot of complexity. And I'm just going to go back to my go-to, which is Chardonnay. I think that if I could just open a bottle of Chablis, or if you want to put bubbles to it and bring it to champagne or even some other appellation, I would say lighter, leaner Chablis or sparkling wine is kind of where I think everyone also just thoroughly enjoys and reaps satisfaction from sparkling.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Seth, again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Absolutely.
sharing your journey with us today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. And, and also thank you very much to all our attendees for joining today's Empower Hour, and to everyone who's online today. Please swing by the store when you're in Wicker Park. We love shopping local, and at this wine shop, they have a rotation. I think I read on your website, Seth, it's over 250 labels of top wines from across
Probably growing
Europe.
since then, yes.
Okay, well, much more than that. And also you have a mix of craft spirits, beers, sakes, so a little bit for everyone, along with their newly created non-alcoholic sections. So a little bit of something for everyone. And I think let's show our love for local businesses and support entrepreneurs like Seth and stores like Midi. So, we want to make our community thrive, and we cannot do that without small businesses like yours. So again, thank you very much. We really appreciate your time today.
Great. Absolutely. I hope to see all of you in.
Thank you.
Of course.